Hello everyone, my name is the Chemist77 and welcome to episode 35 of Farming Minecraft. Today's episode is a little bit weird and I apologise if audio and video are a little bit mismatched in some way. I just moved into my new house and so I've got a very crude setup at a very small desk that I'm going to be replacing soon. And so when I recorded this episode, I could not have my microphone set up. So I'm currently sat editing the video with my microphone in my hand, doing the voiceover to the video that I recorded a couple of days ago, which may be a little bit weird. So I'm going to try my best to match what I'm talking about with what I'm actually doing on the screen in front of me. But it may not work so well. But anyway, today we are going to be building a super smelter. I probably will show the schematic at some point soon in the video. I'm not sure when. But yeah, if you watched the end of last episode, you will have seen after we built the lava farm, which is going to fuel this super smelter, we showed the schematic, and I'm going to do it again and just explain a little bit how it works. And there's a few things that have changed slightly with the schematic to when I'm actually building it. It was a bit of an interesting thing to design this, and so there were a few bits here and there which is like, I don't actually need that there, and you'll see them in a bit. The other thing worth mentioning is when I first turned it on the farm, a few times it didn't seem to work properly. I think I have a fix for it. I think it's just some repeater timings. It works sometimes, and when it does work, it works wonderfully. But so it's still a little bit of troubleshooting left to do. But anyway, without further ado, I'm going to turn on the schematic now. There we go. And we're going to take a look at this thing using FreeCam, which I should be turning on any second now. There we go. This is really weird, but you'll have to excuse me. The audio sounds a little bit weird as well because obviously I'm holding the microphone in front of me. But we can see here we've got 40 furnaces of each type. So this is actually a sort of dual furnace array. So it can be switched between normal furnaces that we've just seen there and blast furnaces that we've got here. And so you can see as well with the blue concrete, the minecart collection system that we've got going on. I show that at some point. And but the main thing about this is we've got a mechanism that we can switch between doing blast furnaces and regular furnaces. Now, if you wanted to, you could do smokers instead of blast furnaces. You could hook a kelp farm up to the smokers if you should wish. And then we can see on the top here all of the rails, and this is all for fuel delivery and smeltable delivery, I think I've called it. And so we're going to spend some more time looking at the rails, and this, what I'm looking at here, this target block just down there, that is what changes it. This is our lava shulker box input, so there's a shulker box unloader just there. And that is the shulker boxes we just take directly out of the bottom of the lava farm there. And we'll put those straight into the shulker box unloader, which is that chest there. And that comes all the way down here. We can see we've got the comparator detecting the output. The lava buckets then feed into that hopper minecart, which we have a little mechanism that then sends it off on its way. Here we can see this is where our switch for our furnace type is. So this sends the signal down to here and into this target block. Now, I briefly mentioned it earlier. This is what changes which furnaces we're using. So this changes which track the fuel minecart will go off. So the way it's currently set up, it'll go straight off and it'll send it all the way around on this loop, fueling the regular furnaces. And if we power that block there, the rail will switch and curve off to the right. And as we can see here, we'll send it off to the blast furnaces. And we have two different inputs for smeltables. rather than again having a switcher. So you can see we've got regular smeltables on the left for the regular furnaces, and then blast smeltables on the right for the blast furnaces. Wow, I got the timing right on that. And yeah, we can see that they just about go round like so, with some fun mechanics that I think I will get to later. Moving forward, I honestly can't remember what I was doing here. Anyway, here we can just about see where the smeltables go. So they come up and hop a minecart in that water stream up the top and end up going, falling down and going along the hopper line along the top there. There's a little bit of a weird thing with the concrete there where the rails go up. That's because that needs to go up so our switching mechanism between regular furnaces and blast furnaces doesn't end up breaking, because then it does weird things if you have the rails just flat along there. So that's why that goes up. Still works perfectly fine. Yeah, and so we can see this side we've got 3 hopper minecarts. This side we've got 4 hopper minecarts. Obviously we need the 4 hopper minecarts because blast furnaces smelt faster and so use items at a faster rate. And so we just want to make sure that we're keeping the furnaces filled with items to smelt. Otherwise we end up just wasting fuel, and that is bad for efficiency. And so what happens is the hopper minecarts, they fall on this rail here into this waterlogged rail with some blue ice. It's a very carefully selected pattern of blocks there to pull out exactly the right amount of items. Or not exactly the right amount. I think it's like 51 items it pulls out. But it means that it'll put pretty much 1 item in each furnace. And the way this is set up is that you just turn this on or off. There's no auto detection, which means you can just leave the minecarts running to distribute all of the items as is needed. We then have this little detector rail here, and that is what pulses the fence gate to drop the minecarts through, or the next minecarts through. And so once the minecart reaches there, it pulses when it turns on and when it turns off. And so that then goes up. You can see that observer is attached to the sticky piston there, because that is our on-off switch. So when it turns on, that observer then moves across, fires into the note block, up these dispensers, which pulses that fence gate. And the 2-tick pulse there is just enough to let a minecart fall through and snap to the rail below, which is very useful. And then of course when the minecart comes back round, hits that detector rail, it pulses 1 when it turns on and once again when it turns off. And then we have the minecarts then end up back in that bubble column and moving back across. This rail on the outside, this is for the fuel hopper minecarts. And yeah, they go into the little tower in the back there. I'm a little out of sync, please bear with me. We've got the same thing this side, basically just the complete mirror image. It's a little bit more finicky here because the redstone in the back here means we can't just have a straight rail to drop the minecarts onto like we have on the right. You can see there instead we have to curve it round and have a powered rail against that block. Again, doesn't affect the function of the farm in any way. It just means that all the sort of the gubbins above with the water and the rails and the ice has to be like moved over a block than it otherwise would need to be. So yeah, just showing the difference. And we're just about to come to one of the things that is actually not needed in the schematic, and that is just off to the left of that detector rail there. This powered rail, which is about this point when I was recording the video that I got very confused why that wasn't a regular rail. Turns out it doesn't need to be a powered rail, that can just be a regular rail there, and that's exactly what I do when I build up the real thing. So that is the smelter delivery system for the blast furnaces there. You can see again on the left hand side the bubble column, which is where the hopper minecarts go up and enter the system again. And again, same as always, it is the 51 items or something that get taken out. So yeah, this bit here can indeed be a curved rail rather than powered rail against a solid block. To be fair, it could be either. There's no benefit or drawbacks to having any of them. Another thing to change on the schematic, that white concrete block there needs to be redstone dust. Otherwise, as you can see by the shaking of that camera, that ends up powering on and off, and we don't want that because that is our collection system. So when that's powered, it turns this collection system on, which sends minecarts back and forth. And so it's the same hopper minecart system that we've used basically everywhere in this farm, designed by El Mango. And I don't think we didn't use it for the dripstone farm, but we did use it over here for the bamboo farm, and just over here for the crop farm, which I think you can probably just about still hear. But yeah, back over to the super smelter. You can see all the rails there along the top as usual. And this is our collection system. And basically the water goes all the way along here, hits this bubble column, and immediately gets aligned against this honey. So obviously we've used it before loads of places. Honey is less than a block tall, which means we can align items over hoppers. And anything that we've smelted will go this way, end up in this hopper stream to the chest there. And these filters all along the side here are for the empty buckets. So of course, because we are using lava buckets to fuel it, once the lava bucket has run out, there would be empty buckets left in the system. And so we just pick those up, collect those from those filters just along the side there. Technically, you can have the filters next to each other and stick out, but I think it looks a lot cleaner with them all along the side. And so, yeah, so that is what picks up all of the empty buckets, and they end up just in that little chest there. And yeah, like I said earlier, anything else that we've smelted goes straight to the back and ends up in this little output chest. And so this is all on the little sort of platform here, the central control platform, I guess. And now here we're just going to go ahead and look at our sort of on-off switch slash hopper minecart loader for the fueling station. And this is quite tight in here, but we can see we've got a comparator taking the output from the hopper minecart, and that's being compared against the power of 15 into the side, so which means that comparator will only turn on when the minecart is full and receives a max power. Now that then powers this little redstone line here, which if the farm was turned on would open this fence gate because of that redstone dust you can just see there, or and as well it will if this piston block wasn't there, power this monostable circuit and send it up. Now this is where the issues lie with the farm's sort of reliability. Sometimes things don't quite fire correctly in the back here. I think it's just a couple repeat timings, so it should be easy to fix. But we can see there's a hopper minecart there that will get sent off when it works, and another one then gets dropped down by this little monostable circuit we have here, again, just using the quick pulse on the fence gate to let one minecart through. And again, the next minecart goes back into the system and the same thing goes over again. Fills with buckets, gets sent off, new one gets sent through, and another one gets dropped down. And so there should be enough minecarts in here. I think there should be 8 minecarts total. So there's 6 in the tower, 1 underneath the chest there, and 1 underneath a fence gate. I miscount on this bit, which is why you can see my camera going all the way back and forth, and I'm trying to double check with what's going on. But yeah, so that is the super smelter. Again, I'll explain it a bit more once it's actually working and running. It's probably a bit easier to see what everything is doing once things are actually happening, albeit somewhat not quite properly when I first turned this file on. So yeah, so I'm going to hit a time lapse now. That is something I can edit offline quite easily, and I don't have to do a voiceover for, which is very nice. So yeah, I'm gonna get in time lapse, and then we can turn this farm on and see what bits of it are working. But yeah, that's my face. We're not gonna have it for much longer. Let's go. And there we go, it is built. I have to say, building this, oh boy, do I have a knack for overcomplicating things. But yeah, it is built. Lots of rails, collection system, all up and running. It is just like I said, the fuel delivery system that is a little bit temperamental. But yeah, we can see everything now in its proper, fully rendered glory now that I have it actually built and it's not just some semi-translucent blocks. And it actually came together quite well relatively quickly. Only took me about an hour to build up. We can see there's our little control platform, and yeah. And I tell you what, I love the bamboo signs and the hanging signs as well. The hanging signs work really well as railings, as you can see down there. And being able to edit both sides of signs as I look at the lava shulker box input for a reason I can't remember. And the fuel delivery system, I'm not sure what was going on here. This has been a really weird episode. But yeah, it's sort of, I guess it's kind of weird that I'm talking about the fact that I have no idea what I'm doing here. But I don't know, I feel like it's a bit of a different episode with me talking over the background of what I've filmed. Obviously I'm used to talking about, what I'm doing as I do it. I don't write scripts for any of my episodes. I literally sit down, hit record, and just start talking. It probably comes across in the final episode, but yeah. So sooner or later, I'll turn this farm on and we can talk a little bit more about what is going on, which I'm thinking I can do here. And I've just remembered one thing I've not done is set up the bucket filters. You can see I've got a few spare buckets in my inventory, which I'm just gonna do like that. I use rockets as my filter item. You don't need to use rockets. You can use basically any 64 stackable item there. I use rockets because it's something that I'm never gonna build a farm of that's gonna end up with rockets in a water stream. If you want to be ultra safe, you can rename items, but just as long as it's not a default name item that's going to be flowing through the system, you should be fine. But yeah, so you can see we've got all of those filled up nicely now, and I think it's about time here that we can turn the farm on. So we're going to go down here, we're going to look at everything, and take a look nice down. I'm just going to skip ahead to where we turn the farm on. Okay, and here we go. We're now at the point where we can turn the first bit of the farm, and that is the collection system. So you can see there, redstone block on the left there gets grabbed, which depowers the note blocks just underneath and sends the minecarts off. Now we don't need loads of minecarts here going ridiculously frequently. Obviously, we're only going to be smelting items here, which never takes too long between them. There's only ever going to be 20 items per hopper minecart, plus the 20 buckets for whenever the lava buckets run out. And you can see I turn it off again and it should just go up, and there you go, settle like that. Next thing we have over here is our furnace type, which I think I actually ended up putting this the wrong way around on the sign. So currently it's turned on, which yes, actually means it's regular furnaces, not blast furnaces as I have written it out on the sign. So that is set that way. You can see the rail, and if I flick the lever again, we should see, there you go, that the rail changes direction and sends it off to the blast furnace array. So that takes it way over on the other track, like so. So you can just flick it on and off, and you can see that rail moving like that. And so we'll leave it like that for the normal furnaces, because of the items that I brought to smelt are for normal furnaces. And here we have our fuel system. This is the one that's a little bit broken, and I'm not entirely sure why, but yeah. So we're going to hop up here, we're going to grab all of our lava buckets that we have left down here, and just chuck those in like so, and they start eventually filling in. And I believe if we go down here, yep, you can see that that comparator has now turned on, because the hopper minecart is full of lava buckets, and there's a chest just there which acts as sort of like a buffer, so there's extra lava buckets straight in there ready for the hopper minecarts to come along and collect. Now I did actually make a small mistake as well with the hoppers that go into the fuel side of the furnace, in that you actually need filter items in there. Again, I'll show that later. Otherwise you just end up taking ages to fill all of the furnaces up with fuel, particularly using non-stackable fuel such as lava buckets. But yeah, the other small oversight of this design is that barrel there is where the empty shulker boxes from the lava farm end up. I sort of completely forgot about it until the day before I built this, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's where the shulker boxes end up. I mean, it's not too horrendous to get round. You just have to hop down the back and you can pick them out of there like so, and then you just have to fly back up and round like so. But yeah, so we should be about ready to turn it on. This was when I realised that we needed a hopper minecart in the bottom there. You can see at the bottom I've not put it in. So yeah, this is quite funny actually, watching myself back and watching myself realise the mistakes that I'd made. But yeah, I'm just gonna skip ahead to this part. This was definitely one of my less successful projects that I've done, which I can't really work out why, because it worked fine in the creative test that I did. I don't know whether it's a chunk border thing. It shouldn't be a directional thing, because I never changed the direction of the schematic. Possibly it's locational, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not big knowledge wise on locational redstone or directional redstone, but yep, there we go. There is the minecart going in as I bash my head on my way back up, and pop the glass back there for the minecart chute, and we should be able to turn this on and watch it break. Yep, you can see there is my shulker box of smeltables, which is cactus, yes, because I didn't have that much of anything else that I could smelt. Whereas the cactus farm, which has been slowly sitting in my spawn chunks since I don't know when. Obviously it doesn't work 24/7 because it's in the spawn chunks, but because I'm over there a lot, you know, doing villager trading, AFKing my iron farm, it just anytime I'm over there, it's constantly being run. So there's a load of cactus. There's still like 7 or 8 stacks of cactus there, even after taking the shulker box out. So yeah, but we're gonna load this up into the minecarts or into the chest in just a moment. Like so, regular smeltables, of course. Pick up the shulker box. There's another lava shulker box in there just waiting. And we should then, I can't remember what I turned on next. The fuel, which then promptly broke, if I remember correctly. Yes. That minecart shouldn't have been sent straight off. I am not sure what happened here. Again, I think it's a repeater time, but I've still got to test it out. And as I come around here, after much fiddling around, I accidentally left the collection system on here, but I put a minecart in. That gets sent off. I get very much surprised, and this is what should be happening every time we turn the farm on. And we can see I come up here, I turn it off, and everything looks fine. The minecart is in there, ready to be released. And everything is looking fine, so I go to turn it on again. And it breaks again. Yeah, we'll figure something out soon enough. But yeah. But here you can see the importance of adding filter items into the fuel hoppers, because otherwise what you end up with is tons of lava buckets filling up in the hoppers, and it ends up with just taking ages to fill all of the furnaces with fuel. And obviously we don't want that. Also, the 4 slots there end up just not getting used. And what we can do is we can just throw in some dummy items like you do in a standard item filter, because if it can't be used as a furnace fuel, it won't actually get put into the fuel slot of a furnace. So it's not like the hoppers going in the top, where whatever you put in the hoppers in the top will get fed into the sort of smeltable slot of a furnace. If it can't be used as fuel, it won't get put in once it's going into the sort of back or sides of the furnace. And so I believe here I just use firework rockets. I eventually end up using gold nuggets because I had a decent amount of gold in my ender chest and I ran out of firework rockets. So once that's all going, then we can move on to the next thing, which I cannot remember what it was for the life of me. And so here I can just about turn the farm on. There goes the fuel distribution system, actually working this time. It's very weird. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you can see how it should be working now in the long term. We get hopper minecarts coming through at a regular rate, making sure they're filled up with lava buckets and sent on their way. And now we've got the fuel filter system in place. There should be 2 lava buckets per furnace, 1 in the furnace and 1 in the hopper behind it. So as soon as the one in the furnace is used up and the bucket is taken out, then this lava bucket gets funneled in. And so yeah, it's very useful, that, and it was just very nice to see it working consistently in a long time. Of course I then turn it off and turn it back on and it doesn't work again. So yeah, so I let that run for a little bit, turn it off because I might as well. There's easily going to be enough lava buckets in there. I can't remember how much lava buckets actually last. I'll probably put it on screen. Obviously I'm actually in editing right now, so I'll be doing that in just a second. But they last quite a long time. Anyway, now we can turn on the smeltable distribution system. You just saw the first minecart go there, and you can see the 51 items get taken out there with the 13 left over. And we should eventually see the next items that are taken out just there. And so we can see all the furnaces on there as well with the particles. And there goes the little detection system with the detector rail and the observers. That's the wrong button for what I was after, because that's the fuel. And now we can turn on the collection system, and we should start seeing very soon in the right two ones. There you go. There's some buckets and some green dye from the smelted cactus. And so the buckets we'll see get picked up with the item filters along the right hand side, and all of the green dye will eventually go into the hopper and the chest at the back. Now I would like to make that a little bit faster at the back, because the sheer amount of items we get flowing through at a time is quite a lot, and particularly when you're using the blast furnaces, when it's going to be coming through a lot faster. Yeah, we just want to be able to keep up with the hopper speed. I think I show here, it's slowly trickling in, and yeah, there's already a little bit of a backlog appearing in the hopper. So I'll try and get some double speed hoppers going for that. After all, it is a double chest, so we can have 2 hopper inputs. Anyway, moving on, if I hop down here, we can see in the furnaces, it's just about even. There's a slight sort of surplus of stuff going into the furnaces. Obviously, there's 7, now there's 8, it drops down to 7. So the number will slowly increase, but it's better that it slowly increases than you end up with just sort of gaps where there's fuel burning nothing, basically. But anyway, that will just about do it for this episode. It's been really scuffed, and I can see on my editing that the timeline is just coming to the end. So with that, I will end it off there. Thank you very much for watching this really scuffed episode, and I should be back to normal again next week. So see you then. Bye!